deities are closed, so you can sit with your backs. Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Yasoda Nandana Vrajasana Nandana Yasoda Nandana Vrajasana Nandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gaur Premanandi. Move the board and the table over here. Alena Dirgena Mahan Abut Vyavyaha Vikrisyamanasya Jale Vashidato Viparyayo Bhut Sakalam Jalokashaha Tato Gajendrasya Mano Balojasam Kalena Dirghena Mahanabud Vyahya Vikrisyamanasya Jale Vashidato Viparyayo Bhut Sakalam Jalokasa Tataha Thereafter Gaja Indrasya of the king of the elephants Manaha of the strength of enthusiasm Bala the physical strength Ojasam and the strength of the senses Kalena because of years of fighting Dirghena prolonged Mahan great Abhut became Vyayaha, the expenditure, Vikrisyamanasya, who was being pulled by the crocodile, Jale, into the water, a foreign place, Avasidataha, reduced mental, physical, and sensory strength. People are not concentrating. Reduced mental, physical, and sensory strength.
Reduced physical, mental, sensory.
Reduced mental, physical, and sensory strength.
Reduced mental, physical, and sensory strength.
Viparyaya,
Viparyaya,
the opposite.
the opposite.
Abhut,
Abhut,
became.
became.
Sakalam,
Sakalam,
all of them.
all of them.
Jala Okasaha,
Jala Okashaha,
the crocodile whose home is the water.
the crocodile whose home is the water.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Are the ladies in the deity room listening? Philakini, you can hear? Okay. Translation. Thereafter, because of being pulled into the water and fighting for many long years, the elephant became diminished in his mental, physical, and sensual strength. The crocodile, on the contrary, being an animal of the water, increased in enthusiasm, physical strength, and sensual power. Purport. In the fighting between the elephant and the crocodile, the difference was that although the elephant was extremely powerful, he was in a foreign place in the water. During 1,000 years of fighting, he could not get any food, and under the circumstances, his bodily strength diminished. And because his bodily strength diminished, his mind also became weak, and his senses less powerful. The crocodile, however, being an animal of the water, had no difficulties. He was getting food and was therefore getting mental strength and sensual encouragement. Thus, while the elephant became reduced in strength, the crocodile became more and more powerful. Now, from this, we may take the lesson that in our fight with Maya, we should not be in a position in which our strength, enthusiasm, and senses will be unable to fight vigorously. Our Krishna consciousness movement has actually declared war against the illusory energy, in which all the living entities are rotting in a false understanding of civilization. The soldiers in this Krishna consciousness movement must always possess physical strength, enthusiasm, and sensual power. To keep themselves fit, they must therefore place themselves in a normal condition of life. What constitutes a normal condition will not be the same for everyone, and therefore there are divisions of Varna ashram: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Especially in this age, Kali Yuga, it is advised that no one take sannyas. Aswamedam gavalambam sannyasam palapaitrikam devarena sutotpatim kalau pancha vivarjayet. Brahma Vivarta Purana. From this we can understand that in this age the sannyas ashram is forbidden because people are not strong. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us an example in taking sannyas at the age of 24 years. But even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya advised Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be extremely careful because he had taken sannyas at an early age. For preaching, we give young boys sannyas, but actually it is being experienced that they are not fit for sannyas. There is no harm, however, if one thinks that he is unfit for sannyas. If he is very much agitated sexually, he should go to the ashram where sex is allowed, namely the grihastha ashram. That one has been found to be very weak in one place does not mean that he should stop fighting the crocodile of Maya. One should take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, as we shall see Gajendra do. And at the same time, one can be a grihastha if he is satisfied with sexual indulgence. There is no need to give up the fight. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore recommended Shtanesh Tita Shrutikatam Tanuvan Manobihi. One may stay in whichever ashram is suitable for him. It is not essential that one take sannyas. If one is sexually agitated, he can enter the grihastha ashram. But one must continue fighting. For one who is not in transcendental position, to take sannyas artificially is not a very great credit. If sannyas is not suitable, one may enter the grihastha ashram and fight Maya with great strength. But one should not give up the fighting and go away. So this is a narration about a great fight which took place between the king of the elephants, Gajendra, and the king of the crocodiles. The elephant was going with all of his family members into the water to take bath and to sport, when suddenly the king of the elephant was attacked on the leg by a giant crocodile. And this fight, which took place afterwards, lasted for 1,000 years. The she-elephants and baby elephants were all crying, seeing their husband and father, the king of the elephants, finding so much difficulty. And why was this difficulty there? Because it is not natural for an elephant to fight in the water. An elephant can fight on the land. A crocodile can fight in the water. So in this fight that took place, the elephant was losing the fight, and the crocodile was winning. Do we have crocodiles in this country? Yashika, you know what a crocodile is? Okay. So the crocodile was gaining victory over the elephant. So this explains something to us, that we are also fighting a great war or battle. That fight is against Maya. Maya means the illusory energy of the Lord. When we try to become Krishna consciousness, it means to declare war on the material energy. So in a war, you must expect that there will be opposition. Don't expect that the enemy, Maya, is going to give up the fight. She is a very formidable enemy, and she knows just how to attack you. Just as in a battle, the opposite army knows what is the weak points. When you fight with someone, just like the Kshatriyas in the battle of Kurukshetra, they knew how to pierce the armor. The different joints of the armor, these were the points where the arrows could enter. So Maya knows where the joints, where your joints are. Maya knows exactly how to pierce you. So, in this regard, we have to try to take every preventative measure that Maya should not be able to defeat us. And this means that we have to keep our mind, our senses, and our enthusiasm very strong. So, if one is in a weakened condition in a battle, then it's very easy to defeat them. Therefore, the person who is fighting has to be very fit. So each one of us has to think how to keep themselves fit. Of course, for everyone, there are some basic requirements. You have to get enough sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, it's very hard to control your mind. When the mind starts to wander and you're sleepy, you won't be able to control it. And if you can't control your mind, how you will control your senses? Because your senses are always pushing for enjoyment. Vacho vegam, manashakrota vegam, jiva vegam, udapashta vegam, etan vegam yova sahita dira, sarvam apimam kritivim sasishyat. Rupa Goswami describes 6 types of urges, which are sensual pushings. The speech, the desire to always talk, prajalpa, to talk useless, senseless conversation. Just like Radha Gopinath was saying, that while he was driving from Lotoka to Suva with his parents, the whole time it was difficult because they're not devotees. So they wanted to talk so much senseless conversation. Perhaps each of you have experienced when you're with materialistic relatives, how they always want to talk senseless conversation. So it's very difficult. And if we keep that kind of association, then the tongue wants to just talk and talk and talk. Even devotees must be very careful to learn to talk about the correct things. So it's difficult to control speech. The mind is also difficult to control. What does Arjuna say in Bhagavad Gita about the mind? He says it's more difficult to control the mind than to control the raging wind. Just like in Fiji, we have cyclones. How many people have been in a cyclone? Who has seen the cyclone? Yashika, you have never seen a cyclone? The other day there was a cyclone some months ago. Right. So when the cyclone comes, the wind is blowing very strongly. Now, who thinks that they can go and stop the wind from blowing? It's not possible. In the same way, Arjuna, Krishna's devotee Arjuna, he says it is easier to stop the wind than to stop the mind. The mind is more difficult to control than the wind. So unless you are very fit, to control the mind is difficult. So, speech, the mind, anger. Next thing is anger. Some people are by nature very angry. For no reason at all, they'll become angry. Now, what does that anger do to? It's described. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajaguna samudbhavaha. Anger comes from desires. When one has very strong desires, which cannot be fulfilled, that will lead to anger. So if you are finding yourself becoming angry too much, then this means generally that you are getting unfulfilled desires. Now we will discuss about how to deal with that. We'll discuss about how to deal with all these things. So anger is another type of pushing. Well, jiva, the tongue. Huh? The tongue means, huh? Yeah. Tongue and belly and genitals. Tongue, okay. So next problem is the tongue. The tongue wants to eat so many things. Just like when we first meet someone and we try to make them devotees. One of the difficult things for them to give up is eating onions and garlic. Hindi word pias and lasa. Yeah, pias and lasa. Onion and garlic. Very hard to give up. Because the tongue wants to be satisfied. Just like this morning when we were walking, someone was cooking with onion. Did you smell that? Very strong. The smell is so strong it can carry for half a mile, a kilometer. Someone cooks onion for 1 kilometer, you can smell the onions. So this is very difficult to give up, to control the tongue. How do we control the tongue? Always feed the... Yashika, what is the best way to control the tongue? What is the best thing for the tongue to do? Right. Mahaprashadam, correct. Always give the tongue Mahaprashadam to taste. Then the tongue will lose its desire for eating food which has not been offered to Krishna. Correct. Then, this is a direct line. The tongue leads to the belly, stomach. So the stomach wants to always be filled up nicely. The stomach is like an empty pot. And it is always calling for filling up. Right, Paula? It is always demanding. Feed me, feed me, feed me. Even when it doesn't need to eat, it will call out like that. For no reason. It just wants to do something. Just like an empty pot, when you strike it, it makes a big sound. So when the stomach is empty, it starts growling like a dog. I want to be fed. And the last thing is the genitals. Genitals mean the sex organs, because this is a direct line. The tongue, belly, genitals. When the tongue gets very nice satisfaction, the belly gets filled up, the next thing is one thinks, now I will enjoy sex life. So all of these 6 types of pushings have to be controlled. One who can control these things is called a Swami or Goswami. Swami or Goswami doesn't only mean someone who's a sannyasi. It means anyone who can conquer the different sensual desires. When you can conquer all of these, anger will go far away. When you can conquer these desires, anger will go far away. Now, how to conquer these things is being discussed here. For each person, it is a different way. There are 2 considerations. First is one's engagement, one's activity. And the second is one's ashram. Engagement means there are 4 basic types of activity. The intellectual activity, the activity of administrating and managing and protecting. Then the activity of business or mercantile or farming activity. And the activity of hard labor. These are 4 basic categories of activities. And as far as ashram goes, there are 4. The brahmachari student, the married grihastha, the retired vanaprastha, and the renounced sannyas. So each person has to be properly situated so that your different sensual needs are being controlled. Now the spiritual master understands very nicely the psychophysical nature of each person. The spiritual master is the expert doctor, the expert psychiatrist. He can understand exactly each person's nature, and he knows how to take advantage on behalf of Krishna of a person's nature for the sake of benefiting that person. When you are in the proper position, when you are situated rightly, spiritually, then all of your energy will naturally flow to Krishna. So, just as the crocodile, he was situated properly in the water, but the elephant was not. Therefore, the elephant became weak while the crocodile became strong. Just like a brahmachari who is too much inclined for sex life will become weak staying as a brahmachari. But if he enters the household ashram and lives properly with a good wife, a spiritually Krishna conscious wife, then that same brahmachari as a grihastha will become very strong. On the other hand, if a man is in the grihastha ashram, but his wife is too much sexually agitated or is too much materialistically inclined, then that man in the grihastha ashram may become weak. And for him, it may be better to be vanaprast or retired. So each person has to see what situation will be able to allow the person to fix their mind on Krishna, in terms of ashram and in terms of engagement. Someone who is engaged, supposing someone's nature is to work very hard, but instead he's engaged in more Brahminical activities of intellectual type, but he wants to do physical work, then he will become puzzled. His mind will become boggled, puzzled. And instead of working hard, he'll just be sitting there unengaged, and then so much maya will come in the mind. That same person, if they were engaged in more vigorous physical activity, would be very satisfied. On the other hand, if someone who is very intellectually inclined is simply engaged for physical work, then their mind will not be satisfied. So each person has to be given the proper service to do and situated in the proper ashram. And this has to be guided by the spiritual master. Then automatically a person can make nice advancement. It is not important whether one is a brahmachari, a grihastha, a vanaprastha, or a sannyasi. It is not important whether one is a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. What is important is that one is fully engaged in Lord Krishna's service. So don't be attached to a particular situation. Be attached to Krishna and Krishna's seva. This is the message of this sloka today. So are there any questions?
You said you were going to touch on
I did touch. I touched on it by saying that the way to control these pushings is to be properly situated according to Varna and ashram.
not to how to when desires come into the mind.
A person who is properly situated according to Varna and ashram will find that their desires are diminished. Just like a brahmachari who is thinking too much about sex life, when they get married, because they're allowed to be with their wife, then automatically they become satisfied in the mind. That will automatically happen. Just like a girl will naturally be thinking about sex life, but when she gets married, then that immediately becomes satisfied because she can serve her husband. So it's very simple. This positioning according to Varna and ashram will rectify 50% of problems. Of course, even within each Varna or ashram, one still has to do chanting of 16 rounds and following the 4 principles, going to the morning program. Otherwise, just Varna and ashram alone will not do. That is not enough. Just to be, you can see so many people here in Fiji, so many people are, married and doing they're properly situated according to Varna and ashram. There are so many people, so many of the Indian community. Indian means all different parts of the Indian community. They're nicely situated according to Varna or ashram. But because they're not Krishna conscious, they can't control their senses and mind. So just Varna and ashram without Krishna consciousness is materialistic. Understand? But just chanting 16 rounds and following 4 principles without proper situation according to Varna and ashram is also not complete. Both must be there.
Not because of our
Yes, as long as there is conditioning, there is need for Varna and ashram. When one is completely Krishna conscious, Varna and ashram is not at all important. Such a person is really a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is transcendental to the Varna and ashram categories. They're simply engaged in serving Krishna. Just like the gopis, they didn't care for their ashram. Their ashram was there duly, they were married, but they didn't care, because all they wanted was Krishna. They're not at all caring about those things.
One shouldn't try to act on that platform.
No. Because even one should set an example always. Even one is transcendental, one still has to act according to Varna and ashram. Even if one is very advanced, one should still act to teach by their example. Therefore it's said that even a liberated soul, even a great Paramahamsa, will still act within the Varna ashram system just to teach how to do duties. He will do everything according to proper duty and example. Another question? Ladies, start asking some questions. Don't be dull-headed. Ask questions. Having a body of a woman doesn't mean you're not supposed to ask questions. People in this country got this wrong idea that women should be seen and not heard. Women are also spirit souls, so they also have to inquire. Just like the Devahuti. Devahuti is the mother of Kapila. Kapila dead. Lord Kapila's mother is Devahuti, and the whole part of the Srimad Bhagavatam is devoted to questions asked by Devahuti. So women should not be dull. Don't be dull-brained. Any questions anyone has? The real way, there's two things about anger. There's a way to subdue it on the immediate or temporary way, and in the long-range, permanent way. So the immediate, temporary way is like Lord Brahma. When Lord Brahma became angry, when Bhrigu Muni tested Lord Brahma, it is said that he controlled his anger by his intelligence. So when you become angry, you should use your intelligence to remember who you are and how you're actually being affected by the modes of material nature, that it's not really the thing that is getting you angry, but it's the general modes of nature that are affecting you, Rajagun, mode of passion. In this way you should calm yourself down and withdraw. And right after that you should start to think how I got angry, what caused me to become angry, what situation caused me to become more agitated. So next time I will avoid that type of situation. This is the immediate way to stop being angry. Now the long-range way is to become Krishna conscious. When you're fully Krishna conscious, anger will not come at all. Anubhav. Other questions? Tilakini, have a question?
What is the best way of executing devotional service? With the mode of chanting, or there is no other activity?
Narad Muni describes 9 different parts to devotional service, beginning with Shravanam, Kirtanam. Shravanam means what? Hearing. Kirtanam means chanting. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam means to remember. Padasevanam, serving the lotus feet. Just like Lakshmi serves Krishna's lotus feet. Then Archanam means deity worship. Vandanam means offering prayers. Dasyam means to do different types of serving in various ways. Sakyam means to give your friendship to Krishna. This is a very advanced stage. And Atmanivedana means to offer your life, everything. So there are different aspects to devotional service. Every one of them is equally good. Of course, the most basic one is Shravanam Kirtanam, the most basic two, hearing and chanting. First of all, you must do that. There must be hearing and chanting. But all others are equally good. Begin with your hearing and chanting, 16 rounds every day. Then all other activities are all of equal value. Anything done for Krishna is absolute. Anything done for Krishna's devotee is absolute. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nittam bhagavata sevaya. You have to serve these two bhagavatams. You have to hear the message of Krishna, and you have to serve the devotee of Krishna. Both are essential for advancement in spiritual life. The train runs on two tracks, Guru and Krishna. Therefore it's described, Yasya Devi Parabhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Tasyaiti Katita Iyarta Prakashanti Mahatma. Anyone who keeps equal faith in Guru and Krishna, to such a person, all the knowledge of the Vedas is revealed. So keep full faith in Guru and Krishna. Then all knowledge of Vedas will be revealed to you.
What happens if a person does not get the opportunity to give service to devotees, but one does engage in some devotional activities?
If because of your circumstance you find that you're not in a position to do much more service than chanting and hearing, then while you are chanting and hearing, you can be praying to Krishna for the opportunity to be in a position to render more service. Because the chanting means, "Oh Lord Krishna, oh Srimati Radharani, please engage me in more service." So you can be just chanting Hare Krishna with that feeling that I pray that Krishna will put me in a position where I can increase my service more and more. Then surely Krishna will fulfill your desire. Another question? Tilakini?
Yeah, since chanting Hare Krishna is asking for some service, sometimes Krishna provides more service than time to chant. So what to do?
Say that again?
Sometimes there are more opportunity of doing devotional service, practical devotional service, that sometimes it's time for chanting would not be readily available in the proper time.
Sometimes there's more opportunity for devotional
for
service.
Devotional service, and there's no ample time to chant the japa in the Brahma Muhurta hour.
No, one should chant japa. There's only a few cases where devotees may have to chant their japa later on, just like in your case, when someone is serving the spiritual master personally, that's the case, that they may have to make up their rounds later, or the pujaris may also chant later. Although I can tell you in Dallas Temple, our head pujari there, he gets up at 2 o'clock in the morning because he wants to chant all his japa before the time he does his puja. So he takes rest early because he doesn't want to have to chant. Later on, it's very difficult to chant. Actually, that is the best arrangement. Those who do the pujari work early in the morning. Otherwise, you'll find that the pujaris all day long they say, "I'm doing my japa." The full day. Anytime you go to them for service, "I'm doing japa." Vasudev used to tell me this. You always go to every woman in Lotar, "I'm doing japa." I did all my service, I did so much service in the morning, now a full day I have to do japa, 8 hours japa. So if the temple leaders find that the pujaris are giving this excuse, then all they have to do is they just split up the puja, that someone else does the puja at night, and then they tell the pujari who's doing the morning puja to take rest at 8 o'clock and get up at 2. Then the pujari can be free the whole day to do other seva. Anyway, it just takes a little planning. Any other questions? Yashika, any question? No. Armila, question? Nobody got questions? Tilakini, in 6 months you don't have one question for me? Okay, good question. Her question is that most ladies normally serve their husbands and regard their husbands as their lord. So is that the correct mentality? So this is described in the Shastra, that for a woman who is not at all spiritually inclined, then she should see her husband as her lord, so that she can learn at least to serve someone else. The whole idea is that the soul is in a mood of being served, of taking service. So gradually the soul has to be trained, again, to give service. So in any case, that's why even demigod worship is not bad, because at least one is giving service to someone besides taking service. Something service is being given. So a woman is told, you serve your husband as if she is your lord. But one who is spiritually advanced will not need to serve a demigod, because they can immediately serve the Supreme Lord, Krishna. They can understand ultimately what the real service of the soul is. Similarly, a woman who is spiritually advanced is not supposed to regard her husband as God or the Lord. She's supposed to regard her husband as a devotee of the Lord. And she's supposed to engage with her husband in serving Krishna. Not that she says that by serving you, that is true of everybody. By serving any Vaishnava, one is also serving Krishna. But she does not see her husband like that. That instruction is specifically given for those who are in material consciousness. A lady who is in Krishna consciousness sees Krishna as God and sees her husband as a devotee of Krishna and assists her husband and wife working together in Krishna consciousness. That is, there's only one God, Krishna. When one becomes advanced, they'll never think that their husband is Krishna. They'll never think that their wife is Krishna. Only Krishna is in that position, and all others are seen as the servants. And that is happening, just like I'm sure Vrindavan Chandra's, before being Krishna conscious, your wife was probably seeing you more as very important and a person to serve. Now, after Krishna consciousness, she's seeing more and more Krishna. Not that she's neglecting, but still she's starting to give more and more time to Krishna. And that's actually why people are afraid to become devotees. They don't want to let their husband or they don't want to let their wife start to give attention to someone else besides themselves. It's the same selfish mentality working. But ultimately we have to give up this body. We have to leave this world. So what will all that attachment, what good will it have done? We have to learn to become detached.